Okay, guys, let's answer the question, what is a hot oil? Okay, there are some oils in your collection that when you apply them topically are going to feel hot. They're going to feel uncomfortable. Now, remember, every person is different. Their sensitivity levels are different. One of my youngest son is like, he can't take anything on his skin. He's extremely, extremely sensitive. He can't even take like hot water, like something above warm. It drives me crazy because when he does his dishes, he does it in like lukewarm water. And I'm like, no, 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 honey, we need to make this hot and break that grease down. So he's very, very sensitive. Okay, so I have to dilute the oils for him that are hot more than I would for somebody else. Like myself, I don't have extremely sensitive skin. So I can take a hot oil like oregano, for example, and apply it directly on my skin and it really doesn't bother me. I mean, I can feel it, of course, and I don't put a huge amount on. So it's going to be different for every person. But generally speaking, a hot oil is something that's going to have not necessarily a heat, but more like a spice, a very spicy sensation, like having hot peppers in your mouth, right? It'll have almost like a burning sensation. And it's going to be different for every person. So what are some of those? I'll show you the ones that I have on hand. Okay, lemongrass is considered a hot oil. Now to me, it's not, but to my son, this one was burning him. He was very uncomfortable with lemongrass. Clove is a hot oil. Okay, clove is in thieves. So clove actually and cinnamon. These two together, which would mean that thieves could feel pretty hot too, right? Because it's got clove and cinnamon in it. Oregano is a hot oil, okay? This one is one of the stronger ones, I would say. Thyme, again, another hot oil. Thyme is hot. Hyssop. Hyssop can be a hot oil. Now, again, I didn't experience this, but I'm sure there are people who do. Peppermint. Now, this one's an interesting one. Let me tell you a story. Peppermint actually has menthol in it and it's a very cooling oil. It feels very, very cool when you put it on. It feels wonderful. But this is where it can feel hot. This is kind of different from the others. These ones like clove, you can imagine you put on clove or cinnamon and you're going to feel the intensity of the heat as you apply it. This one's going to feel very cooling. But if you go get in a hot body of water within a relatively short period of time, let's say within an hour or so after application, then the spot where you applied it is going to feel very hot, uncomfortably hot. I've had this experience and actually I fortunately learned from Erica Gehring, who is our upline silver, because she spilled a bunch on her hand one time. And within the hour, she got into her hot bathtub and she, soaked her hand in there and was like, oh, my hand's on fire. And so what do you do with the hot oil? You start diluting it with a carrier oil. You add carrier oil and you let it sit, and then you add another layer of carrier oil and you just keep repeating until that uncomfortable sensation subsides, okay? So when you have a large amount of oil, let's say spill on your hand or wherever, dilute, dilute, dilute until the sensation goes away. So I was glad that she had told me that story, because later I was using, it was Deep Relief, which is not on my shelf, but Deep Relief has peppermint in it, and it's amazing, and Panaway too, amazing, wonderful oil for joint and muscle support. And so I had put some on my lower back and I was feeling so good, and then I went and got in a hot tub. And I was in the hot tub for about 10 minutes before I was like, ooh, it's just like this prickly, weird kind of stinging sensation. And it wasn't so bad that I couldn't push through it, but it would have alarmed me had I not known about Erica's story about the peppermint having been hot on her hand. And since I knew that Panaway and Deep Relief have peppermint in them, then I knew exactly what I was dealing with. And so I just got out of the hot tub, kind of toweled off, and the feeling subsided within a couple of minutes. I didn't have a carrier oil on me, but I was able to get back into the hot tub after about 10 minutes and it was fine. It's going to be different for every person. Again, I'm not super sensitive. So hot oils are very interesting. If you feel any kind of sensation that feels like a tingling or a burning or prickling or something like that, just stop what you're doing with the oil and then get a carrier oil and start diluting.